Hi guys, I'm Tyler and you're watching the TJS Bass channel. Today I'm giving you a quick overview of the specs and the features of the Fender Professional Series Factory Special Run Lightweight Order Bass and the Fender Original 60s Jazz Bass. I'm going to run you through the specs of these basses, and I'm also going to suggest what I personally think each bass would be best for in terms of which type of player you are and how that might suit you in the long run with this bass. So yeah, let's get to it. First thing I need to say is that both of these basses are currently available at Langley Guitar Centre. This video is in collaboration with those guys over there, and if you want to buy either of these basses you can. They're currently available for sale. I'll put a link in the description for both of these basses. If you're watching this in the future and sadly they've both been sold, don't worry, they get loads of Fender stock in over there, so I will leave a link to their website and you can check out their website and see all the Fender goodies that they've got in at the time of your watching. The best place to start off is here with the Fender Professional and Factory Special Run. The new Professional basses are the replacement for the American Standard series of Fender, and this bass has all of the new features of the Professional but with the added feature of an ash body, a really nicely figured ash body as you can see here, and it's much lighter weight than most. I think it's probably the lightest weight bass I've ever played, to be honest. I weighed this and it comes in at just over 3 kilograms, which is incredibly light. It has the old school looking knobs and pickups. These pickups are the modern V-mod pickups that you get in a normal Professional series bass, but they have the added cream colours which make them just look like an old 80s style Fullerton bass. In terms of the frets are tall, narrow frets. It has fluted tuners which just make string wrapping a little bit easier when you're restringing. It has these Fender branded F logo modern style tuners on the back. The bridge is a higher mass bridge, really like that. You have the option to also string through the body, and currently this bass is strung through the body. The wood choices, as I said, the body is ash, a really lightweight piece of ash. It has a maple neck and then a rosewood fingerboard. Last thing I should mention is that the neck is a modern slim C shape. Really nice neck that fits neatly in the hand. Very slim. You have quite a significant fattening out right past the nut as it gets back to the headstock, but if you want to just zip around on a bass, this is possibly the choice for you. Moving over, we have the original 60s jazz bass. Now this is a heavier bass than the lightweight ash, but it's not a horrifically heavy bass by any means. It's got the classic combination of an alder body, a maple neck and a rosewood fingerboard. Once again, looking at the hardware, it's got the classic 60s styling of hardware, so the plastic knobs. It has this metal strip connecting the pickup to the bridge to stop any ground hum issues, so that's an important feature. The bridge is a vintage style bridge, very simple. It's exactly the same as the one I have on my 59p bass. Super simple bridge setup. It has 64 wound original pickups, so these are Fender's vintage style jazz bass pickups. A tote bar, just there for the classic vintage aesthetic. Looking at the other end, you have a bone nut, same as on the Professional series. Traditional tuners, so no fluting there, just your big old traditional tuners, and that's the same on the rear of the tuner as well. The body is finished with a lacquer, so it's nitrocellulose, which means that the bass will breathe a little better and probably resonate a bit better over time. The downside to that is it will pick up quite a few dings and knocks, but if you like a bass that looks like it's been yours and plays like your bass and can aesthetically be said to be yours, I think it's a really nice feature. And I actually kind of like the fact that my custom shop P bass has a cellulose finish, and it means that it picks up dings, but they're all my dings and my kind of battle scars, which I really like. The only other thing to mention is the neck profile. The neck profile on this is a 60s C shape. So quite a lot of the 60s shapes they're quite thin widthwise, but they've got a little more chunk to them. So compared to the Professional series, the original 60s has a slightly deeper neck, but it's definitely still quite a very thin neck. And as you come up further up towards the 12th fret up to here, the neck really thickens out quite a lot, which I actually really like. I really like a vintage style neck much more than a modern neck, and it feels just a bit more wholesome when you're playing up there. For me, I really like both these basses, but I think I'd use them both for very different things. If you're a player who really likes a more vintage sound, a thicker sound in the mids I think is the most important thing, a more kind of P-bassy style sound, I think that the original 60s is the way to go. It's a lot thicker in that mid-range. It's a little bit more muted up at the top, and I think that's partially down to the pickups, a little bit down to the size of the neck being a bit thicker, and the older body construction. It's a traditional bass and it sounds a bit more traditional. It's going to do all those vintagey things. So if you're into old school music, or you just don't like a lot of treble, or particularly want a particularly clean, well balanced voice overall, you prefer that little thicker mid-range, I think the original 60s bass is probably the way to go. I think if you are doing really, really long sets and you can get hold of one of these, I think you're going to be doing yourself a favour in the long term, because this bass is incredibly lightweight. This is, like I say, the lightest weight bass I've ever played, and it had me tempted. It had me very tempted. It's a great sounding bass. If you play it acoustically, I absolutely love the sound of it and how it plays. It's really easy to sit and noodle away on for hours and hours and hours. The one thing I'd say about it tonally is that it's much more modern, which isn't really my preference. It's really great for playing chords, soloistic playing, which I do a lot of, but I on a gig I like a bit more of a thicker mid and a bit more punch in the mid-range, and I think that's offered by the original 60s more than this bass. But if you're into your slapstyle stuff, the Ash body is always a classic combination for slapstyle, and it's a really great bass, great player. And I think if you want the modern features as well, like I forgot to mention this, but it's got graphite in the neck to make sure that it stays nicely straight and is less resistant to temperature changes. It's a feature that makes it really a great bass for gigging. So really, from my perspective, you can't go wrong with either of these basses. You can check them both out at the Guitar Centre. As I say, if you're into more vintagey things, the original 60s is more like a 60s bass and it will do exactly that. And if you're into more modern music, jazz, want a really clean sound, or quite a bright sound that's maybe a little bit scooped in the mids, I would definitely have a look at the lightweight factory special run professional series and the professional series in general. I hope this video has been useful to you. If you like this video, smash the like button, hit the subscribe button and hit the notification bell to be kept up to date with my latest videos and all the content that's coming out on my channel. There'll be more stuff in collaboration with Langley Guitar Centre and more of these style of videos, so if you like this, hit the subscribe button and you get to see more of these. As I say, check out Langley Guitar Centre's website for details for both of these basses, and if you want to pick up this incredibly lightweight bass, you can and save your back, as well as this beautiful original 60s. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you around soon.